Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're getting a little spicy in the Hisui Cup, as this trainer is bringing out a rank 2 Shadow Sneasler to one-shot anything in its path. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Just Dirk, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now it goes without saying, Shadow Sneasler is not a top ranked Pokemon in the Hisui Cup by any means, but in terms of raw damage output, this Pokemon in endgame scenarios can be downright frightening. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and take a look at Shadow Sneasler in the Hisui Cup. Hopping into the first match, nice lead Wormadam into Gastrodon. Opponent safe switches into a Waterfall Empoleon. Waterfall Empoleon has been rising in usage quite a bit, as it's a really good Pokemon to help neutralize Bullet Punch Lucario. Hydro Cannon is launched by the Empoleon on charge attack priority. This Bug Buzz is resisted, but it will still inflict some really nice damage. In comes Spiritomb looking for a full farm down, but the Empoleon hangs on 1 HP, making a last second Hydro Cannon and forcing a shield from the Spiritomb. Spiritomb now going to be met with the Gastrodon re-hitting the field. Gastrodon immediately under pressure from the Shadow Ball, and the opponent is forced to give up their first shield. Spiritomb desperately trying to get to another Shadow Ball, unable to get there. How well has the opponent been counting? The Rock Tomb does get shielded, a big miscount from the opponent. They will get a full farm down, but they pay a serious price as they've lost so much of their health bar. In comes the Wormadam. Wormadam going to be shielding up as Gastrodon goes for the Water Pulse. Gastrodon firing off another move, and it's going to be shields down. Shadow Sneasler trying to close out this endgame. In comes Sneasler. Sneasler going to look for the farm down here in the back. Is Bastiodon, and this game is over, as Sneasler is going to get to the back-to-back Shadow Close Combats. Shadow Close Combat deletes Bastiodon. In comes the Gastrodon, and it's going to be a double knockout here. Down goes Gastrodon, and that is a good game. Moving into game number 2, Trash Wormadam again picking up a really nice lead as it's met with Spiritomb. Spiritomb just does not have the same fast move pressure here as Trash Wormadam. Look at the bug bites go. They've already lost 50% of their health bar. They're going to fire off a Rock Tomb. That's very okay with Trash Wormadam. It just gets to shake off that damage, return fire with the Iron Head, and now just fully Bug Bite down. So Trash Wormadam is pretty close to an Iron Head. Opponent going to bring in Lucario. There's a pivot out. That's actually a Force Palm Lucario. The safe switch into the Spiritomb is going to be answered with Mamoswine. And this is a tricky scenario, as this Mamoswine is on Mud Slap. Mud Slap obviously would inflict massive damage onto the Shadow Sneasler. But the Mamoswine's getting low enough that honestly, potentially, we could see the decision to let this go. Oh, we will see the shield. So instead of going for farm on the Sneasler, instead going to value an ability to debuff that Lucario. In comes Lucario. No Force Palm coming through as we see the Rock Tomb launched at Lucario. Lucario will commit the shield. Wormadam going to try and make it to the move. Wormadam getting to the Bug Buzz. This is double resisted, but Bug Buzz is a pretty strong attack that is going to land, and that does deal meaningful damage to Lucario. Lucario is already debuffed, and now in comes Shadow Sneasler. Will Sneasler be able to make it to a charge attack in this matchup? Thunder Punch is going to land. Sneasler farming up. Sneasler at this point has gotten it low enough that Spiritomb should be able to Sucker Punch down. Lucario picks up the knockout with the Thunder Punch, but 2 Sucker Punches pick up the KO. That looked a little bit scary in the endgame. Shadow Sneasler almost always wants shields, but the game still ends in a win. Trash Wormadam versus a non-Shadow Dusknoir. 2 better answers in the back, so we will see a safe switch into Spiritomb. Opponent banks energy, sends out Licky Licky, and Licky Licky is by no means a good answer to a Spiritomb safe switch. Spiritomb has such consistent neutral pressure in this matchup. On top of that, the debuffs really add up as well. Licky Licky full sends the Earthquake. Spiritomb gonna look for a full farm down. The opponent should be short of an Earthquake here. Earthquake is straight 5. It is just going to be the Body Slam, and that is a huge switch flip for Spiritomb. If the opponent brings in the Dusknoir also does not have a move banked, so Dusknoir will immediately be put under pressure from the Rock Tomb bait. Rock Tomb is able to grab the shield. Dusknoir is going to have to throw, because if they don't, they're going to get hit with another Rock Tomb. A second Rock Tomb comes out, forcing the shield. It's a CMP tie. That's devastating for Dusknoir. Dusknoir goes for the Shadow Punch. It does not KO. In comes Sneasler, and in the back is Vespiquen. Oh my goodness, Vespiquen is not going to appreciate this. Shadow Aerial Ace, big damage onto Vespiquen. Vespiquen gets to fire off double resisted moves here. Vespiquen gonna go for the X Scissor, and that is a rare move that Shadow Sneasler can actually survive. Shadow Sneasler going for Aerial Ace number 2. This is gonna be the end of Vespiquen. In comes Dust Noir, firing off one final charge attack, but Sneasler still has the shield. The Vespiquen was just completely walled, and for a second game in a row, opponent is going to concede the match. Same leads as last game, but this time it is a Shadow Dust Noir. Spiritomb safe switch. Opponent is going to send out Gastrodon, and this is an incredible bait out if Shadow Sneasler is your final Pokemon. Sneasler would get absolutely destroyed by Mud Slaps, and that is a savage bait call from the opponent, calling that it was not going to be the Shadow Ball, because now they can just go for the nuke. In this instance, they're actually running Earth Power, which is a pretty big surprise, as in this meta, you should typically be on Water Pulse, but either move would have picked up the KO. Gastrodon leaves a parting gift of a Body Slam. That's not really a problem for Trash Wormadam, but energy on Shadow Dust Noir will be an issue. Dust Noir will immediately be shielding up as the Iron Head comes through. Dust Noir farms up to the back-to-back Shadow Punches. A Dynamic Punch could be catastrophic, so we will see the shield. It is going to be the Shadow Punch. There's Shadow Punch number 2, and now it's going to be all up to Shadow Sneasler to try and close out the game. In comes Sneasler. It's a simultaneous switch. Sneasler into Gliscor, and Gliscor will fire off energy. Gliscor going for the Aerial Ace. Sneasler will commit the shield. Sneasler just looking to farm up to the back-to-back Aerial Aces and gets there. Aerial Ace does not get same type attack bonus here, but KOs the Gliscor. The damage output from Shadow Sneasler, it just farms down the Dust Noir, and it's able to sweep yet another endgame. Moving into the next match, picking up a very negative lead, Wormadam into Shadow Drifblim. Granted, there are two better answers to Drifblim in the back. The safe switch Spiritomb opponent banks so much energy and is now just going to bring in their own Spiritomb. This is a bit of a surprise. They took way too much damage on that Drifblim, and being down energy in a Spiritomb mirror means that switch advantage can very easily be flipped. And now this means Sneasler is going to be aligned onto that Drifblim, and on top of that, Spiritomb gets to exit with a Shadow Ball loaded. Is the opponent going to bring back in the Drifblim? No, they send in Gastrodon. This is a debuffed Rock Tomb bait, and the opponent no shields. And I think the opponent may just be able to sweep with the Gastrodon. In comes the Shadow Drifblim. Drifblim is going to fire off a move. We should see the shield come out here on the Shadow Ball. Opponent Icy Wind baits. In comes the Sneasler, and Sneasler just cannot farm down. The opponent's decision to Icy Wind earlier pays off, as now they get an Icy Wind into the Sneasler. Sneasler able to get an Aerial Ace with damage registration error, but unfortunately the damage has been done, as Wormadam needs to get to 2 charge attacks, and it just cannot get there. The Bug Bites are going to end up getting this Gastrodon quite low, but not low enough, as Gastrodon is going to make it to a Body Slam as well. And this Trash Wormadam is very bulky. It can withstand the Body Slam, but it will not survive the Mud Slaps after. So unfortunately, that game will be a loss, but we do see a 4-1 set. Unfortunately, couldn't quite get the 5-0, but a 4-1 set means the team is definitely working. We move to set number 2, and unfortunately, the Shadow Drifblim lead is back with a vengeance. Safe switch again into Spiritomb. Drifblim takes so much damage, and now they're going to send out Bastiodon. Obviously, this is not ideal, as you would much rather see the Bastiodon aligned onto the Shadow Sneasler. Spiritomb farming up a ton of energy. There's the typical Bastiodon player play of throwing a charge attack on alignment, giving an entire free Sucker Punch of energy and damage to the Spiritomb. Spiritomb, very nice charge attack timing, going to fire off the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball, no shielded by the Bastiodon. Can Spiritomb get a farm down here? No, Spiritomb cannot. It looks like Spiritomb was the one getting farmed down, forced to fire off the Rock Tomb. Bastiodon is gonna shield. Bastiodon fires off a last second charge attack, and we will see the no shield from Spiritomb. So unfortunately, Spiritomb unable to flip switch advantage. In comes Sneasler, 1 Shadow Claw head start. In the back is going to be a Drapion, and this is actually a non-Shadow Drapion. Just going to go for the Aerial Ace here. Aerial Ace, no shielded by the opponent. In comes Wormadam, answered with the Drifblim. Unfortunately, at this point, this game is basically over. There's no way to win unless the opponent baits for no reason. We see the no shield and they bait for no reason. There is absolutely no reason whatsoever to ever Icy Wind bait there when you can make 2 Shadow Balls before 2 Iron Heads. I was about to completely write off this game, and justifiably so, but now because of the opponent's catastrophic error, they're going to end up losing, as Sneasler will get a full farm down, and Sneasler can probably take the win with the Aerial Ace, but let's see if the close combat can be reached. Aquatail is shielded. There's gonna be the close combat. Sneasler's revenge. The first Shadow Drifblim lead was a loss, but the second Shadow Drifblim lead is gonna end in victory. We move to the next game. Trash Wormadam is going to be met with a Shadow Palkia, an incredibly good lead. Palkia is staying in, and look at those Bug Bites. Oh, that is criminal. Bug Bites deleting the Palkia. Palkia will return fire with the Aquatail, pivoting out into Drifblim, and that's going to be answered with Spiritomb. Honestly, I don't love this matchup as a Spiritomb that is counter switching, because Spiritomb will always end up debuffed, and it's forced to go down a shield as well. Spiritomb gonna be firing off the Rock Tomb to pick up the knockout to guarantee no more charge attacks come through from the Drifblim, but Drifblim is going to shield to get off the Icy Wind. Icy Wind, however, being debuffed will not be enough to KO, so for Spiritomb, the trade is actually pretty favorable. In comes Palkia. Palkia should just get knocked out here by the Shadow Ball. It's highly unlikely they shield the Palkia, and in the back is Vespiquen. Vespiquen, it's probably going to be walled off by the Shadow Sneasler, as the typical moveset is X Scissor and Power Gem. Iron Head is going to land, and now in comes Sneasler. Sneasler can't quite get to the Aerial Ace as the opponent realizes they have no charge moves to hit this Pokemon, and they're not going to waste anyone's time and just resign the match. Very tricky lead in the next match. Wormadam into Lucario. The good news is Lucarios in this cup do not run Force Palm. Instead, they run Bullet Punch, and that means that even though Trash Wormadam is completely walled off in this matchup, obviously Lucario is going to be hitting for resisted damage as well. Going to be firing off the Bug Buzz. Bug Buzz is double resisted here. We do see the shield from Lucario. Unfortunately, no debuff comes through from the Bug Buzz. Lucario going to be probably firing off the Thunder Punch here. There's the Thunder Punch. It does not KO, but it sets up a farm down after. In comes Spiritomb. Spiritomb is going to take pretty massive damage in this matchup. These Bullet Punches are shredding. Spiritomb is going to commit the shield. It's a power-up punch bait from the Lucario. At this point, I've lost count. Did they make it to a Thunder Punch? Yes, they did. And Lucario is just sweeping. In comes the Shadow Sneasler, hoping for a reverse sweep of its own, but out comes Spiritomb, and we will see an immediate resignation there, as Spiritomb was just gonna debuff its way to a win. Neutral lead in the next match. Trash Wormadam into Pachirisu. Opponent save switches into a Vespiquen. It looks like they're running my legend team, but trainer, Vespiquen is not a save switch. It is very easily hard walled. Vespiquen's gonna get chipped with the Iron Head. In comes Shadow Sneasler. Typically, with this team, if it is my legend team, you would want to save switch the Dusknoir, or if you've switched it out for a Spiritomb, save switch the Spiritomb. Now, Dirk will have to go down a shield to keep switch here, but he'll get to farm up to the back-to-back, and that should ensure that the opponent does not end up shielding here, so switch advantage will be secured. The Aerial Ace does get shielded. That's a curious play from the opponent, as now they're going to have to double shield. There's back-to-back Aerial Aces loaded. They end up double shielding, and Dirk will be very okay conceding switch here because he just gets nice farm. He gets to bring in most likely the Spiritomb, get a 2 Sucker Punch head start, and Spiritomb up energy is deadly. In comes Pachirisu. Pachirisu going to fire off energy. Spiritomb can survive any 1 charge attack here, but shields in case it's the Thunderbolt and gets the shield call right. Spiritomb now going to fire off the Rock Tomb. Pachirisu is very bulky, able to shake off that damage. Pachirisu firing off 1 final charge attack. This is debuffed. It is going to be another Thunderbolt. Opponent's going to switch. It is my legend team. It's Dusknoir in the back. It's a Shadow Dusknoir, so it does get 1 shot. In comes the Pachirisu, and the opponent is going to concede the match. Hopping into the final match, Trash Wormadam, great lead into Hisui and Electrode. Electrode stays in, sees the Bug Bite, save switches into Licky Licky, but this is not a better matchup. Licky Licky just loses straight up to Trash Wormadam. Trash Wormadam, the Bug Bites are too oppressive. There's a Bug Buzz debuff as well. This move does not knock out, but Dirk is going to choose to invest in the HP of this Trash Wormadam, trusting that Trash Wormadam will be a nuisance for the opponent, and it will be. In comes Spiritomb. Spiritomb going to get chipped with an Iron Head. This should be the first shield of the match coming out from the opponent, and now in comes Shadow Sneasler. Sneasler, this is almost assuredly a Rock Tomb, but we will see the shield. Oh, they're actually on Shadow Sneak. I have seen a few of these Spiritombs opting for either Shadow Sneak or Ominous Wind just for slightly faster pacing to try and mess with opposing Spiritombs in the mirror. Sneasler will fire off the Aerial Ace, and Aerial Ace number 2 is reached on charge attack priority. This move is not going to knock out, but it deals some pretty quality damage, and Sneasler gets one final charge attack before it gets KO'd. The opponent is now heavily debuffed, and it's just time for Spiritomb to farm. And if you're ahead on energy in the Spiritomb mirror, the game is over. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. All in all, these were some very fun battles, so many thanks to Dirk for sending them in. Shadow Sneasler, my goodness, this Pokemon looks like an absolute riot. Honestly, in today's sets, I may give Shadow Sneasler a go for a few sets just to see how it can perform. It's definitely high risk, high reward. But when you're running a Pokemon that's as glassy as this and has nuke moves, that's what you're signing yourself up for. There's going to be certain games like the game versus the Bastiodon Gastrodon core where Sneasler just sweeps and close combats KO everything, but that does involve very careful setup, where if Sneasler ever gets down shields or down energy, then things suddenly get a lot more tricky. I do think a secret MVP of this team was the Trash Wormadam. I think Trash Wormadam is unbelievably underrated, probably the most underrated Pokemon in the entire Hisui Cup. Obviously, it is going to have its problem matchups. The main matchup that's a real pain point is Drifblim, just because, unfortunately, your Bug Bites never really do a lot of damage there. Drifblim has a massive, massive HP stat, but in basically most any other matchup, it has quite a bit of nice play, even against Lucario, as long as it's on Bullet Punch. The Bug Bites surprisingly do add up there, because Bug Bite is just an incredibly cracked move. And Spiritomb, we already know Spiritomb is incredibly strong in this meta. So overall, this is more of a team for fun, I would say, but Trash Wormadam, I think, is a real sleeper, and if you're looking to have some fun in your sets, you can definitely do a lot worse than Shadow Sneasler. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.